Mwah. Point romance time. Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, we're going to be chatting about our bonus book, Shy Boy, by Kirsty White. Although, was he shy? Was he? We'll discuss it. Right, I'll just add our guests in. I can see Kelly there. Just add Kelly in. Hi, Sharon. Valentine's Day. Hi, Keris. I'll just add you on. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Hello. Happy Valentine's Day.
And to you.
Right, I'll just see if I can add Keris in. Unfortunately, Shelly can't join us tonight, so it'll just be the three of us. Hi, Keris.
Hi.
Love to
Hello.
Shelly. Or as the millennials,
Oh,
how do the young people do the
oh,
hearts? We
I
do it
can't do
this
it.
way, and young'uns do it like
I can't do
Like
it.
that, but yeah, I can't do it either. Ooh,
Whatever you did then, Kelly, you did like little hearts went up on the
I
screen
did
then.
it. So,
Yeah,
no,
so it
not
must
gonna
have
happen again.
worked.
It was a
I like
fluke.
that one's a lot easier.
Yeah,
It is.
like, yeah.
They
Not
do it.
very loud. Hang on
Do
a
it
minute. Let
really,
me just
really
fiddle.
weird.
Oh, Sharon says Happy Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
Oh, well, thanks for joining us. I was just saying, Shelley unfortunately can't join us, just due to personal circumstances. So we're sending much love to Shelley, and we miss you. It gets confusing with two Shelleys sometimes as well. But
Hmm.
this Shelley's here. But yeah, we're going to be chatting about Shy Boy. Um, so we have the brilliant Kelly here, who I don't know if I can hear some feedback. That's why I'm going really slow.
I can hear something.
Yeah.
Got somebody's
Um,
TV or something in the background.
I think I can
Okay.
hear myself. We'll go with it. It'll be fine. So Kelly runs a UK family and lifestyle blog, and tell us a little bit about that because you've been doing some really good reels, like outfits and things like that.
Oh, it's a bit cringe, but thank you, Shelly.
No, I love it.
So I've had a blog to become mum for 12 years now,
Wow, yeah.
um, and that was just when I was pregnant with my first son and just started blogging when that was all a thing. And then I changed my Instagram account to Kelly Couldn't Help But Wonder, a riff on Carrie Bradshaw, Sex and the City, and
Oh,
how Carrie can't help but wonder in every episode. Um, just so I wanted to reflect me a bit more because the boys, are growing up and just conscious a bit more about putting them online. And I just thought this year I'd try and put myself out there a little bit more. So just kind of rediscover my confidence a little bit. And I enjoy things like fashion and stuff like that, but I'm not a fashionista. I don't have a huge budget. I am 40, so I'm not pretending to be a model or anything like that, but I'm just trying to showcase a bit more of me
yeah.
because I realise, like, scrolling through my account, I'm never on there. It's never
Hmm.
me. It's always other things. So I'm just kind of forcing myself to be in front of the camera a little bit and just having a bit of fun.
Oh, you're doing so good. And I always look at the outfits that you're wearing and I'm like, wow, I wish I could like style myself like Kelly, honestly.
Oh, bless you.
No, I'm a proper little fangirl. And we've got the brilliant Keris Fox with us as well. And
No.
how long have we known each other, Keris? Like
Um,
2015? So about
whenever
10
when
years?
Counting Stars came out, so probably
Yeah.
because you named a star for me.
Yes, I did. I did a
She's
star
the
for you.
nicest, yeah.
Yeah, yes, I
So yeah,
remember
so
that.
that's probably 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been about 10 years. Oh my
That's
gosh,
it.
that's
I
gone well quick. But if you don't know Keris, Keris is the best-selling author of 14 novels
know.
under the name of Keris Stainton. And that includes adult and YA rom-coms like Counting Stars, If You Could See Me Now, One Italian Summer, to name but a few. And then you've even done a Christmas novel for young readers, which was really cute. And it's not romancing, but it does have a talking pug in it, which was always a winner.
Can't go wrong with a talking pug.
Oh, and Keris has previously worked as a bookseller, a PA in the music industry, an arena steward, so that you could see New Kids on the Block, right, for free.
Like 12 times, I think.
Oh,
I think I
wow.
saw it 12 times, yeah.
Dream.
I know.
Yeah, that's
Well,
amazing.
I couldn't afford to pay to see them, so I got a job. You didn't get paid for the job. You just
Oh,
got
just
to,
volunteered.
yeah. So, and that's it. I did a few. I still did the New Kids shows, and then I did some other shows. I was just thinking about it yesterday because I did a Whitney Houston show, and it was 13 years. 13 years this week since she died.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah,
gone really quick.
hasn't it though? Yeah, I
Mm,
thought that. I had to double check.
yeah.
But yeah, we didn't get paid. We just got to watch the shows. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
no.
Oh, that's so cool. But Keris, I thought Keris would be a really good fit for this book, especially because Keris has got a new book coming out called The Harry Styles Effect, which is like part fandom memoir, part celebration. Tell us a little more, Keris. And I've got the cover here. Woohoo!
Aw.
Did you take this picture or no?
No,
Oh,
I was at that show and I got a video of that moment, but from obviously very far away. So then when it was approved to use that photo, it was taken by an amazing photographer called Emily Pixels. And when she
yeah.
said we could use that photo on the cover, I was so excited. So I've
Oh,
got
wow.
my really rubbish little video of that exact moment, and then yeah, this really gorgeous photo.
Oh,
It's perfect. I love it.
that's
I was
brilliant.
thinking before that I should have like a an elevator pitch kind of thing for the book, but I don't really. It is like it's as much about me as I probably shouldn't say it's as much about me as it is about Harry. I should say it's more about Harry, but no, it's about it's a fandom memoir, and it's my kind of lifelong fandom that started with Books Fizz when I was like 10, and it's also got lots of other fans in there. I've talked to lots of other fans about, their experiences and what Harry means to them, and the songs that they love and the shows that they've been to. Lots of different fans, and then yeah, obviously it's about Harry as well, but it's about how, it's about what Harry means to us. Really,
Yeah.
it's not a biography because anybody interested in Harry knows everything about Harry anyway. So nothing, there's nothing I could tell them.
Oh, no, it sounds wonderful. I can't wait to read it.
Thanks.
But I know you've one of the things I read about it was that it was like, you know, oh, Harry's got all fans of all ages and backgrounds, and it kind of covers that as well. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to read it as
Well,
well.
that's one of the things as well is that because there was a fan who held up a poster at a show and said something like, "Am I too old to be your fan?" And he saw the sign and said, like, "Of course not." And somebody, I think, on TikTok coined the older fans and called them Harryatrics.
Oh
I'm not I'm not on board with being a Harryatric.
no!
And also, I think one of the fans who she was like 35 or something. But
Oh
yeah,
dear!
so yeah,
What's
there's
that make
definitely,
us?
I know, exactly. There's definitely a lot of older fans as well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know I went to see him, was it last year? Yeah, last year I think it was, and oh, it was amazing,
Mhm.
brilliant, so good live. So yeah, so last year we read a Point Romance in February, which was Summer Dreams, Winter Love, which was one of mine and Kelly's teen reads that we read as a teen. So we like revisited it, and it was really interesting. So I thought, let's just make it an annual thing and do a Point Romance, ditch the
Hmm.
point horror just for a day and do the point romance. So I thought, why not? And Lisa from B for Book actually recommended this one or suggested this one. She hadn't read it. She was like, oh, it sounds pretty cool because it's about music and things. So she suggested Shy Boy. So thank you, Lisa. So this one was released, I believe, in the UK in 1998. Yeah, I've just double checked, 1998. And the tagline is, will love be a hit or a miss? Oh, indeed. Uh, so basically, what this one is about is Jake's a busker with a gorgeous voice, and Kerry hears him playing in the mall, and dreams of meeting him. So Jake can't stop dreaming about Kerry either. So they both really like each other. So if only he wasn't so shy. Was he shy? So then Then
make the title fit somehow.
Yeah, no.
Instead of saying shy every 10 pages, and
they really did get the word shy in quite a lot. So then, just as he plucks up the courage to ask it out, he gets the chance for stardom. So can both of his dreams come true? Indeed. So, do you remember this one from back in the day, Kelly, or was it a new read for you? Because we read a few point romances back in the day.
This was a new one for me. I did have it already in my point romance collection. I can't have read it back in the day because it feels like it was written about me.
Oh!
No, honestly, it's the most tenuous links, guys, but I would have remembered this. So it was set in Alton, which is where I went to college. And just a correction, Alton's actually in Hampshire, not Surrey. And there isn't another Alton. So I was like, maybe I'm confused. But no, I went to Alton College. He goes to college in Alton. I was there in year 2000, so I missed him by 2 years. And the name's almost my name. So I really was. When I'm reading this book, I was like, it could have been me.
you could have had Jake.
It could have been me in the coffee shop. But I would have remembered it, because if I read it back in the day, I would have either gone, I know Alton, or I'm going to college in Alton. I would have made the connections, and it would have stuck in my memory for that. So when I got to that first page, I just could not believe it, and I was like, this is like reading about my teen years, just 2 years off, that's all.
Oh, I love that. And you've never read a point romance like this set of point romances before, have you, Keris?
No, because I'm older. That would be, I was, what was it, 98? I was 27 in 98. But that's so funny that you said that, because when I was reading it, I was thinking, thank you for that. I was thinking, did I write this? did I write this as fanfic and I've forgotten? Because it's very much the kind of thing that I would have written as fanfic in the 80s. And
Oh,
obviously,
wow.
again, she's called Kerry, almost my name.
Oh.
Yeah, and every now and then I was like, this is very much the kind of stuff, but it would have been, it would have been about Wham or Ross. There would have been more than one boy.
What spooky coincidences, though. I like that.
Isn't it? I did need to look up actually if Alton was real. I kept thinking, well, maybe they'd made Alton up, but yeah.
Now, Alton is real. It is in Hampshire. It's near Surrey, but it's in Hampshire. And it doesn't have a mall or a shopping centre, okay? So that's a blatant Americanism for the word.
Yeah.
But there's no shopping centre. I even checked to see if there's one today. There isn't. And I don't remember any cool, funky coffee house where hunky men played music and a
They drank a
saxophone
lot of
was
coffee,
on
I
reading.
thought. So did teenagers drink that much coffee in the 90s?
There's a lot of coffee.
I don't remember teenagers.
Everything.
And where were they even getting them from? I didn't think that was a thing. We didn't have Starbucks yet, did we?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we hadn't had the Friends effect yet, had we? Because obviously Friends and the whole centre of that round Central Park brought about the coffee, industry in the UK. And all of a sudden we started to get coffee houses like America. And they could have called it like the Friends effect. That hadn't happened yet. There's nowhere cool like that in Alton.
Oh, so maybe Shy Boy set the trend first.
Maybe.
Never know. But I've never read this one before. In fact, I don't even remember this cover at all, to be honest. But which is a shame, because it was kind of cute. But yeah, I don't think this was, unless I was just a bit too late, 98. So I would have been 17, 18 then. So it might have just come a little bit late for me. The earlier ones I probably remember more, because I think wasn't the one we read last year, wasn't that, it was way earlier, wasn't it, 92 or something like that?
I think it was the start of the 90s, wasn't it?
So definitely
I love the cover
that
though.
one.
I mean, it's very 80s, not 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Very Saved by the Bell, I thought, with the illustrations and stuff. The little coffee hearts, the coffee cups and the little hearts. I do love it. but very
Yeah,
very 80s. He's straight from the 80s, isn't he?
definitely. And I just love the way how I keep calling her Kirsty. I don't know why. If I keep saying
It's just because it's
Kirsty,
the author's name.
I
Yeah,
You've been
yeah.
know.
reading Kirsty.
But I like the way how they really captured like Kerry's look with
Yeah.
adoration.
I
Definitely captured it perfectly.
know.
So obviously we've just mentioned it was set in the UK, and they kept like American words like mall in there. So do you think that was just to appeal to both sides without having to rewrite? What do you think, Keris?
Well, I don't know because certainly they don't do that now. I mean, it's one of my kind of pet
Mm.
hates that British authors have to Americanize their books for American publication because I grew up reading American books, and if you didn't know a word, then you looked it up in a dictionary. You know, you didn't have to, and now anybody can just you can just Google it. So it annoys me when you know, because if a book's set in England, it should have the English, you know, words for things, not the American. But so to the first couple of chapters of this book, I think I just assumed they were in America. I think until he said that he'd sent his demo to a record company in London, and I was thinking, why has he sent it to London? And then was like, oh, hang on. Yeah, because it's just, I don't know, it wasn't just the mall. There was just something about it. I don't know, do you know, is the author American?
I'm not sure. I tried to look up a
Yeah, I
little
couldn't find
bit
anything about
and I
her
couldn't
at all.
find
No,
anything. I know she'd
no,
done a couple of more books for like the Point Romance series.
right.
And weirdly, there wasn't even like anything in the back of the book about her
No.
either, was there? So yeah, so not
Yeah,
entirely sure.
I don't know. Maybe they thought it would be, like you say, Saved by the Bell, like American TV, that it would just be British readers would be familiar with the terms anyway. It would probably be
Yeah,
a bit more glamorous to have a mall than a Arndale or
yeah,
just a
Yeah.
shopping centre, you know?
yeah. What do you think, Ellie? Do you think they were trying
Yeah.
to? What?
I think they were. I mean, as somebody who knows Alton, there's nothing going on there. It was charity shops, possibly a Summerfield or something like that. One of those old school supermarkets.
Well, she did get
Um,
a Gautier suit in a charity shop in Alton,
Oh
didn't she?
yeah.
So
I,
it's
I
pretty
clearly was
glamorous.
not on the scene. I was not going to those charity shops. It was a bit of a disappointment of a town, bless Alton. But it was the fact that they mentioned it quite a lot. So it wasn't just the first page. I think Alton got a mention about every 15 pages or
Mm,
so, just in
Yeah.
case you
yeah,
forgot where they were. And I was like, it interested me in the end because I was thinking, well, even people in the UK might not have heard of Alton. It's not
no,
this kind of centre. It's not a huge city or
Mm.
anything, but they kept mentioning it. And of course, she worked at Alton Gazette, so
mm,
that kept getting a mention as well. But to be honest, aside from the coffee shops and the mall references, it did feel quite British, I think,
mm,
in some
Mm.
respects. Like, talking about, getting the train to London, hopping in a taxi, and it did feel quite real to me. And I actually thought, as
mm,
an overall book, I thought it did feel quite realistic, as if
mm.
it could have happened. She was doing work experience at a paper, and I wanted to go
Mm.
into media and what have you. I've gone into PR, but journalism was something I was interested in when I was
Yeah, me
Kerry's
too.
age, and
Mm.
I did work experience at a newspaper. So to me, it just
Yeah,
did
me
feel like a
too.
world that's very British. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is really like you in this book, Kelly.
I didn't
Written
have a
by
Jake
Keris as
though.
fan fiction.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Jake, sadly.
No, me neither.
Oh no, I agree. I feel like it did feel very British, but every time they mentioned the mall, it just took. I was a bit like, oh,
Mm,
like
Yeah.
it just took me out of it a little bit. But then I thought which we'll chat about in a bit, but all the music stuff and the way they portrayed like the music producer and thing. I don't know. It just felt really British when they went to the
mm.
studios and things like that.
Well, they went
Um,
to Abbey Road. They couldn't have gone
yeah.
to a more famous British studio, could they? Yeah, I
No,
was
that's
taken
it.
aback when it was Abbey Road.
Yeah, and you kind of knew as well, like you were like, oh,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And they
He's still
mentioned
not doing
Take
well for
That
himself.
as well.
Yes, I saw
Did
that.
you get the
Yeah.
reference?
yeah,
I mean, they
mention
mentioned
take
Take
that.
That.
Yeah.
I
But
love it.
also that kind of startled me a bit because as well it seemed a bit I felt like it was a bit older. And when it was Take Me, I mean, I know Take That is like 30 years ago now, but not in my head. So when it was, I was like, oh, it kind of pulled me forward in time a little bit when they mentioned Take That. I was a
Yeah.
bit earlier on, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And then like there was some song references, wasn't there? Like Love Is All Around.
yeah.
I think they mentioned the Beatles Yesterday song at some point. There was a couple of others, and I was like, oh, I wonder because sometimes in book, I might be wrong on this, Kerry, so you can correct me. But sometimes in books, do you have to be careful, like with song references and things like that, or is it just you can put them in?
You can you can use the
Ah,
titles. You can say
ah,
any title, but if you want to quote any lyrics, then you have to get permission and
ah.
usually pay. And in my first novel, I had a line from All About You by McFly,
Mm,
and we wrote to the music publishers to ask how much it would be to use it. And it wasn't a lot, it was probably 150 quid or
yeah.
something to use it. But that was like for one print run in the UK, and kind of the publisher came back and said if it sells anywhere else, if there's additional print runs, if there's audio rights, you'll have to keep paying over and over, and you
Wow.
don't know how successful it's going to be, so you don't know how much. So I took it out, I changed it, so I ended up like describing it instead
Yeah.
of quoting it, I was like she said she was dancing on the kitchen tiles or something, right? That's so that's why
The
you
way
find that a
around
lot in
it.
books that people just describe the line instead of actually saying it. And I
Yeah.
know like some people, um, some bands and some musicians charge an absolute, McFly, that was cheap.
Mm.
Some charge an absolute fortune, and sometimes it's not the ones that you
Oh,
think, and some
oh,
just won't clear it at all. I think like the Beatles and things you can't get cleared at all. Oh yeah,
yeah.
titles are fine.
Ah,
There's no copyright titles. Yeah.
interesting. Didn't realise that.
Mm.
Um,
That's what we got loads of books with song
yeah,
titles. I've done a couple.
I've never
Yeah.
thought about it before until when I was reading this book, and I thought, I wonder if they have to pay to put the title in there. So
Oh
it just crossed my mind as I was
no.
reading it. Matthew Stargazer said, I remember having iced coffee as a novelty in around 92
Oh
slash
wow.
93. I thought it was. I thought it was strangers drinking icy coffee in the afternoon. Oh, so it must have been a thing
Yeah,
But
ish.
as a
that's
teenager,
very
I don't remember
advanced.
drinking a lot of caffeine, so
No.
No,
I
no,
I
definitely
don't think I ever had it really. Like, can't remember drinking tea or coffee at home or anything. So I don't
no.
No, I
know.
didn't drink coffee. No.
So obviously Kerry's our main character in Shy Boy. So what did you think of Kerry as the main character? Did you like her? Did she grow on you over the time reading the book? And did you relate to her at all, Kelly?
I did like her. She grew on me, so I know you saying that it's probably a leading question. That's like she does grow on you. It's just as with point horror, same with point romance. It's it's a different kind of trope that you get frustrated with the main character because they're not spotting certain things or
Mm.
obvious things. But that's the whole setup. That's how the story's going to keep moving along. So in point horror, they're not going to suspect people who are the actual person. They're going to go for all the red herrings. Or they're going to behave strangely in serious situations, and you think, why are you doing that?
Mm,
And for her, it was just that frustration of that constant pining, and then being frustrated because her friends got to speak to him first, or another week went by because they crossed paths or missed each other or misunderstood each other. But she did grow on me, and I thought that she did consider things really well. She didn't just drop everything for him, because when she was
mm,
Mm.
thinking about supporting him, but her job at the newspaper and what that meant to her future, I thought
mm,
that was really good and fair. That if you do really like somebody and this is your chance, and they've also got a really exciting
mm,
opportunity, you would be slightly torn, kind of going, "Wow, going to London and seeing somebody make a music
Mm.
track, that'd be amazing." But I did like her for that, and I thought that gave her. She was more three-dimensional
yeah,
because
yeah,
because of that, and the way that she evaluated relationships and used her friend Zoe, was it, that who seemed to give a bit more perspective on things. So she definitely grew on me, but she was really that girl there.
Yeah.
But for the first half, that was just her.
I'd say the
You know,
first 3/4, that was her.
maybe I was being too generous.
Oh, how about you, Keris? Did you like? It's not Kirsty. Did you like
Kerry.
Kerry?
Well,
I
we've got
think that's how I
Kerry,
read it.
Keris,
Yeah.
Kirsty in the
Kirsty,
writing,
Shelly, and
and then
Shelly.
Kerry in the book.
My brain. Yeah. So how did you find Kerry?
I thought that she was realistic for a teenager at that time, and like she reminded me of me. It could have been me, but that's not necessarily a good thing because I just thought she was kind of a bit bland and boring. Which is, she's that her behaviour was realistic, but it wasn't really that interesting. And she did spend a lot of time kind of pining. I liked Zoe because every now and then Kerry would like suddenly freak out about nothing, and Zoe would be like, "Get up, you're fine."
Yeah.
Just um, Zoe was much more sensible, I thought, because they both of them would just overreact to the tiniest thing. It's like, one of them doesn't answer the phone. It's like, oh, I guess he doesn't like me after all. But again, that's probably realistic for a teenager,
Yeah.
especially then. But it was kind of irritating to read it happening over and over again. So on the one hand, they're saying that they've fallen in love with each other when they had barely had a conversation.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, if one of them doesn't answer the phone, that's it, it's all over. Um, but yeah, she did. She grew on me as well, and I agree with Shelley that that she was doing her job, and that she didn't leave them in the lurch when they said she couldn't have the time off, which was sensible. I think she should have gone to Florida. Don't turn that down. Go to
Yeah.
Florida.
Speedway
Um,
just said that she didn't go to Florida. That I
yeah,
was sad
she
about
should
for
have gone to
her.
Florida, and also
Yeah.
her parents were very chill about that.
I
I would not have been
Yeah.
so chill.
They've been planning it, and
Even
it was a
like
Yeah,
surprise.
yeah,
they
and she
didn't
runs
even
upstairs to cry.
question.
No,
They didn't even ask, like, well, what is the reason why you
yeah,
don't want to come to Florida
yeah,
with
I,
us?
I think
She was just
it was
like,
something about the newspaper, wasn't it? That I think it said something like the
the
newspaper and
work,
yeah, and the
yeah,
work that
work,
she had.
yeah.
But then they're like, oh, okay, fine, we'll just throw away your ticket,
Yeah.
yeah,
That was
and
a
your
bit
gran can look
random.
after you, who literally did nothing at all apart
She
from
watched
making
lots
a
of
cup of cocoa.
videotapes.
yeah. She made cakes, didn't she? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I think I'm not sure if she grew on me whilst I was reading because she did irritate me a little bit to start with, but then I thought, no, let me think how I would have been as a teen. So
Yeah.
like, I definitely because I had a crush on a boy so bad at school, like to this day, probably just doesn't know, and I can imagine me being very much like that, like just in adoration
Yeah.
of him, and like probably looking at him very much like Kirsty on the front
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, so I could really relate to that when I got over the fact that she was irritating me just a tiny little bit. So I was like, just go and talk to him. But I was like, would I have done that? No, I wouldn't have.
Really? Yeah, but my book would have ended like on the first page. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and talk to him. I'm going to go write fanfic about him. And there is
I
no
did
book.
like that it seemed to be a genuine interest in him as opposed to because he started to become or
Yeah.
get the opportunities. And it felt very genuine, like she was genuinely excited. Like when he talked about music,
Yeah.
she loved listening to him. She wanted to do the best job she could. And
Mm,
it wasn't necessarily about to impress him, it was
Mhm.
actually because she wanted him to be successful,
Yeah.
and
mm,
she wanted to help him as opposed to like taking any glory for herself,
mm,
or she was just doing it to get his attention. So I did think that the whole dynamic between the two of them did feel very genuine, and obviously
mm,
we got to see the perspective from him sometimes, that they were basically like mirror images of each other, because she was
Mhm.
very underconfident, and again this I think
mm.
made her a little bit more likable, because she looked in the mirror and she thought, oh, I guess I'm not so plain. I guess I am all
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And and
Bless
the
her.
underconfidence in her writing when she was like having to rewrite things because it wasn't quite what she had the first time, and she
Mm,
had a real good work ethic. So those kind of things I think made her more likable than the pining and the whining. But yeah, I think, Shelley, you're right to give her a little bit of slack,
Yeah.
because maybe we wouldn't have been quite so
Yeah.
No.
forthcoming.
And that's what I had to give myself a talking to. And I'm like, no, you totally would have been like this, Shelley. You definitely would have been. But yeah, and I loved the way as well that every time something dramatic happened, she'd like run upstairs and like fall on her bed really dramatically as well. I was like, that was me. Like reading me. Definitely. So yeah, so obviously they meet, don't they, Kerry and Jake, and it's like kind of a bit of insta love from both of them, but then it doesn't really go down that route. It does string it out through the whole book. So do you like the slow burn, or do you like a bit of insta love, Keris?
I don't mind. I like both as long as it's done well. And I didn't think it was done particularly well because they didn't have a conversation until,
No.
when they went to the river. And before that, so, it was like, at least you don't know anything about each other, really. Um, and yet they were both kind of falling in love and pining, and he was writing songs about her, and, Um, so yeah, it would have been, and then it was it was kind of wrapped up quite quickly. I think by the time
Very
they
quick.
finally had a conversation and then kissed,
Yeah.
and a couple of times he did, considering as well that he was meant to be a shy boy. There was a point when he like touched their chin, and another point when he put his fingers on her lips. It was like, you don't even know each other. You're suddenly being very forward.
I think
So
he
yeah,
goes like, didn't
yeah,
say any more.
yeah, that's not very realistic for a teenage
No.
boy in the 90s either.
Oh
Um,
dear.
yeah.
How about you, Kelly? Did you like the slow burn throughout the whole
Um,
book?
I wouldn't mind it, because like Summer Dreams Winter Love was like twice as long as this,
Yeah, that
and it
went
was
over like a number of
all
years,
slower.
didn't it? Yeah, yeah.
That literally by the end of it, you're like, oh god, please just get
Just
together.
bloody kiss.
This one, it just, it's because it was the same mechanic. It was,
Mm,
they've said this or forgot that, and then oh, they don't like me, and it was just exactly the same every
yeah,
single time. So
yeah.
5 or 6 times it was just missing each other, or because they haven't called, then that's it. And maybe they, and it was exactly the same words almost every time. So by the time they finally went for the walk, because I think because as the reader we'd heard both their perspectives, we fill in the blanks. So when they have that talk, it already feels like, okay, yeah, we know you like each other, you like this, you like that.
Hmm.
We felt like their relationship was further along than it actually was, because we'd heard both of their thoughts and we're just like, oh, at last they're finally being sensible about it. But they had spent time together. She had gone to the studio with him,
Yeah.
and she's got to know him first, about his music and what inspired him, and then she went to the studio when he had that opportunity. So I do think it was rooted in something, and she knew that he had a good work ethic because the fact that he was always working at the restaurant. Please tell me
Hmm.
you're going to say something about Mario, Shelley. You've got
Well,
to mention him as a character.
definitely. And just for the pure fact, at the end of the book, he's obviously applying champagne to underage children.
They all were, like
Yeah.
in the limo and at the
Mm,
recording studio,
yeah.
helping
Oh.
themselves.
Yeah, but with Mario, like the the author like really tried to like get across that he was Italian.
In case
So I was like,
you were in any doubt.
I was sitting there going, "We no, that's French." Yeah, whatever he was saying, but I was like trying to say it out loud, and it was just coming out with brumminess.
It was pretty good though. The way it was written, I was like, I can hear that stereotypical Italian accent. The way I can't even find a page he's on now.
Oh, we've got to find it. Hang on, quick. Oh, let's have a quick look.
It's like
It's got to
it's
be
like
here.
you're in love. It's like in instead of in.
In
Yeah.
you in love.
You bring over a meal. I give a special price, a discount.
You wash my dishes well.
Oh,
Oh
bless
dear. I
him.
know. I actually really kind of loved him.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he was, it wasn't just like, oh, he's working at this pizzeria or trattoria as they called it
Mm.
every time.
Yeah.
But I was like, does it have a name? because it wasn't capitalised. I'm like, you're saying the Trattoria.
It's
But
Mario's.
It certainly
Mario's,
was
exactly.
Mario's.
But I did like the fact that he was a character in it. So, because like we don't know anyone else in Jake's life,
Yeah.
really. You know?
I know,
I think
yeah.
does his sister answer the door or something when she goes round?
Some mention, yeah, of a sister, I think.
So he was a bit like a father figure, and then I did really like how he was then involved at the end, and I thought
Yeah.
that was a lovely way to wrap it up.
Yeah, and the way like he had the radio on and
Yeah.
stuff, you know,
Oh, because of course
Radio
he knew
1.
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is quite convenient that suddenly you know someone at the BBC. Yeah.
But the fact that he said it with his Italian accent, I think brought it off. Because wasn't it like my brother's girlfriend's auntie's cousin's daughter
Yeah.
works at Radio 1.
Something like that. But do you know what? I just was looking at the end, and by the end, the author didn't even write in the Italian way, because by that point we just know. I can't
Maybe
see.
Got it now.
Maybe it's a fake
Got it
Italian.
now.
I can't see like anything where Mario's talking, where she's written at the end. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, so it's more like I didn't know, but my sister's husband is hang on. I didn't know, but my sister's husband, his brother's daughter, is secretary. I'm butchering
I
it.
ask her.
You get the drift.
She says you don't know, but the visual.
Oh gosh! Oh, he was great. I wanted more Mario. I think more Mario.
What a Mario
Needed it.
spin-off.
Yeah. Speed Ray Chick said yes. More champagne. She's 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there was I thinking they were drinking too much coffee. I've forgotten about all of the champagnes they were putting away.
Oh dear. Speed Ray Chick said it would have moved quicker if it wasn't for Corinne.
Yeah.
Should we
Yeah.
talk? Oh, should we have a little chat? I've been dying to like see. So, Corinne, thoughts, Keris?
Well, she was very realistic, I thought. I think
Yeah.
that everybody's had a friend like Corinne at some point,
Mm.
I would say. Yeah, and that was the I mean, you know, it's very in lots of books as well. When she bought the dress,
Oh,
and
the
then when she,
dress.
yeah,
Oh.
and the threats.
Oh.
The thing when Kerry believed her, and then was like, "Oh, Jake lied to me about the thing," and I was like, "Come on,
Yeah.
Kerry," you know.
I know she did fall for that a little bit too
Yeah,
easy.
how did she fall
Yeah.
for that? And then turned up to talk to her dad at the gym, which I thought was a bit,
That was
yeah,
a bit weird,
it was very
right?
weird. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, they, you know, teenage girls, especially we all have frenemies. We try to,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think if it wasn't for her, there wouldn't be as much drama in the
Yeah.
book.
You
So
did need it, I think.
she was needed, and I think Zoe was that perfect character who pushed the main character Kerry to see things a certain way, but she also then was supportive of Corinne. So it wasn't just like Corinne was like evil. It was perhaps she doesn't get as much attention. She's used to getting her own way. You know, it might be her own insecurities. That's why she's the way she is. And I did think that Zoe was that she had that perfect role of trying to create balance and understanding. So
Yeah.
I didn't really hate Corinne. I would have just put her in her place a little bit.
I think the
She had a
threat
part
of,
to play, didn't she?
oh, sorry. Sorry, I was just going to say that when she threatened that her dad could ruin
Oh,
it
that
for
was
Jake,
nasty.
that came very, very late in the book, though. I think if that had come earlier, it would have had more impact because you think, well, I know it's nearly finished, so we know that that's not going to happen. That problem's going to be solved. You know, it would have been more tension if she'd made that threat much earlier, and that if Kerry had to deal with that much earlier. Because it was right towards the end of the book, so I think, no. They actually had to wrap it up
I
quickly.
wish they had done that sooner, because then you just had like a whole couple of what felt like a bit of a filler chapters of like Kerry doing exactly what she did before, like just ignoring Jake and avoiding him, and all because of Corinne. But I did gasp when with that dress thing.
Yeah.
Like I was like, And even the strappy shoes.
Even the
The
shoes.
strappy shoes.
And the bag. Was it the bag as
And
well?
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
and also
yeah.
when she said about the when Kerry said the goatee, and she was like, "Oh, last year's."
Yeah.
Like, damn, Corinne.
Dear.
You know,
Oh.
I'm a big fan of Real Housewives, like
Mm.
all the franchises. If anyone ever wants to do a live with
Ooh.
me about that, well, I'd have
Ooh.
to do a whole series. But that was a Housewives moment. There's something been in the latest Beverly Hills series where somebody talks about somebody wearing a dress from
Oh.
2017, and it was just like when
Oh.
I read that, I was like, oh, a burn.
Oh, Corinne, future housewife in the making.
Oh yeah, she totally could be. Yeah.
Oh dear, yeah, that was like, oh, I think I even like a couple of times, as I said, I did gasp. Like Corinne made me like, I was like, that's brutal.
Yeah.
She was brutal, but she did give us entertainment, so we'll forgive her. Just stick with her a little bit.
It would have been quite
Um,
bland if she hadn't been there,
yeah,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
sure.
definitely. And I did kind of like the exploration of like Kerry questioning the friendship and things. I thought that was quite explored quite well, really, with that. Because, and as you say, Zoe was more like realistic, stuck in the middle a little bit, but kind of on both of their sides, like giving a realistic view, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, she was the voice of reason, wasn't she?
Yeah, definitely. But I also have to shout out to Julie, the other friend, who was all loved up, and
Oh
she's
yeah,
basically six. She's 16, and she goes on holiday with her 18-year-old boyfriend and gets engaged, and the parents are well happy apparently. I was like, whoa. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange. I don't think we really needed Julie. I'm
Yeah, I
not
thought
entirely
actually,
sure.
yeah, I don't know what. Yeah,
Yeah.
was it just so that
different
there were
types of
three
curious.
girls who had different relationships? Like one that hadn't had a boyfriend, one who was popular and had boyfriends every week, and then one who was like, to use
Serious.
an American phrase here,
Yeah.
steady. Was it
Yeah.
something like that? Just so there was
Maybe. It
like a
must have
range
been
of
like,
relationships.
yeah. Yeah. So giving like an all round kind of view of the different relationships. Yeah. But I was a bit like, God, Julie, you're 16.
Mm.
Big decision.
It made me think of Boy Meets World when Corey and
Mm,
Topanga are like, they've been like the boy and girl next door to each other since they were like
yeah.
10 or something. And it was just like, because they got together so young, it's always been accepted that that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. They're going to get
Yeah.
married. That's what it
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of. But I did like the fact they split up. And again, I thought it was quite mature in the way of looking at relationships. It's like, do you know what? I don't feel the same the way I did. It's a feeling. It's nothing that's happened. It's just the feelings have changed. And I thought this is actually quite mature and a good way of talking about relationships.
Yeah, that was Zoe, wasn't it, with her
Oh, so
boyfriend, I think. But
I get confused. Who
you
was
are
Julie?
right. I know
Mm.
exactly. But you are right. The way that was done was really well. However, I do think she did wait until after her birthday party. You know, like he said, "Oh, you've purposely waited, like off page we heard
Yeah.
this, but you've purposely waited until after your birthday party." Yeah, she did.
Well,
And then
yeah.
she was only expecting talc, so
I know. She was like,
no
oh,
wonder she dumped him.
he won't get me much. Like, I just have like talc, and I think she names the brand
Was
or
it
something
Yeah,
of the talc.
Yardley. I think it was
Yardley? Yeah.
Yardley talc. Yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh, it sounds like something my husband would get me, to be honest. So, you know.
I hope not.
Um, oh, I've had some crazy presents, I tell you. I could do a whole chat. But he finds it funny, so, like, yeah.
Okay, as long as
Yeah.
it's
He
in
bought me.
jest, that's forgivable.
He does buy it seriously, but then we make it in jest. So I'll give you an example. One year he bought me a coal bucket. I'll
Oh,
just
romantic.
leave that there. Yeah.
Are
Yes.
you working for Scrooge and the Muppet Christmas Carol?
Well, apparently we was in a shop, and I must have said, oh, that coal bucket would look nice on the fake fireplace in the living room. And he noted this for like about 3 months and thought, oh, I know what I'll get for a birthday, the coal bucket.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're more careful with what you pointed
I
out
do.
after that.
Now I just go, oh, I like the look of this book. And then I get a book.
I like it.
There's tricks. Matthew said, "I'm so glad I stumbled on this chat today. We lost power from an ice storm, so
Oh,
Matthew's
wow.
in America yesterday and won't get it back till Friday. And I needed to hear laughing and people talking books.
Oh,
Ah."
that's nice.
Sharon said, "The thought of being married to my childhood sweetheart makes me feel nauseous." Oh. And Sharon said the days when talc from Yardley was an appropriate gift takes me back. Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah.
Melina said, yeah, talc from Yardley was quite the thing.
For a teenager, though.
No, not for a
Using
well,
talc as a teenager.
probably more the thing that you'd get from like your auntie at Christmas who didn't know what to
Yeah.
buy you, not from your boyfriend.
He thought he wanted his girlfriend to smell like his mum or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Matthew says, my husband bought me a new toilet brush one Christmas. Good thing I adore him.
Yikes.
Whoa. Oh, I was lucky with the coal bucket then.
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
Oh dear. So, talking about Jake then. So, in your opinion, was he a worthy love interest? I know we touched on him a little bit. And was he really shy? What do we think? Kelly?
I really liked him. I can't help
Oh,
it. I mean,
I love that.
he had a strong work ethic. He was worrying that he wasn't going to be good enough to date Kerry because he didn't have any money. He was working hard to earn his next guitar, to make his dream come true. He's a singer and writes love songs about girls, but he's not cheesy with it. And the only other, well, there's Mario. We love Mario, obviously.
Yeah.
But the other boy in it, the boyfriend that got dumped, he was a bit toxic, like Point Horror boys are.
Yeah,
whereas,
like arm around, like constantly following that.
Whereas there were no flags from Jake, in my opinion. There wasn't anything that was controlling or misogynistic or pushy. He wasn't shy, but I think he was just quiet and introverted as opposed to shy. And maybe she was given the title Shy Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, the name really doesn't go with it because it could have been anything to do with the music business.
Yeah.
Hit or miss. You've got it in the thing there.
Yeah.
You could have riffed on that. But yeah, so she could have come up with other words for shy because it was just, oh, by the way, as a reminder, the bit's called Shy Boy, so I'm just going to call him Shy again. And then 10 pages later, oh, he is shy, remember?
Don't forget.
I think he's quiet and introverted. But I don't think he's shy.
Yeah.
He was quite sassy in a couple of places. He talked back like towards the end, like he didn't know how to handle Kareem, but there was something where he was asked questions and he would talk back to them, and like say what he wanted to say. And I thought if he was shy, he would have just like gone bright red and run off. Or something.
He was very confident in the studio as well, and considering how young he was, and it was his first time.
You got the feeling that he was at home there, didn't you? Like that was where
shy people don't phone every Smith in the phone book trying to find. I was shy as a teenager. I couldn't have made one phone call, let alone hundreds.
I like how Kelly was like, and when I read that, I was like, stalker.
I think maybe it was a red flag.
I don't think it was though. I mean, you're forgetting it was a different time. That's how you had to. You had to go through the phone book to get somebody's number.
It was commitment to the cause. He was like really
he could have
committed.
gone and asked somebody. Would there were easier ways to have done it, but. Yeah.
Well, I did think about that because didn't it get mentioned that Zoe's boyfriend's friend knew Jake or something? Yeah. And I was like, well, surely Jake would know that because they'd been asking questions. Why couldn't he just asked? But he went old school.
Like something like he was going to ask Kerry for the number and then was like, oh no, I won't. I'll go through the phone book instead.
Phone all the
That's a
Is it?
much more
Imagine
sensible
how
option.
many he had to go through to
Yeah.
narrow it down to 3. He was like, I've
Yeah.
got it down to 3.
He was willing to work for her, which,
Mm.
you know, they both waited for each other because it took weeks and weeks for them to say anything.
Yeah.
You know, and he worked hard to actually get that number in the first place. So, you know, he's done
Commitment.
more than any of the other
Yeah.
heroes or protagonists we've had in the other
That's
books.
true. Very true. So were you a Jake fan then, Keris? You like Jake?
Yeah, I liked him. I mean, again, kind of like Kerry, I didn't think he was particularly exciting,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I liked.
Yeah.
You know, he was. But I think you don't. Again, realistic, because you don't need much to be appealing to a teenage girl. If
Yeah.
you're a boy playing music and writing songs,
Yeah, that's
that's
enough.
kind of all you need. You don't even need that. It was like said somebody recently. I was talking saying that I had this massive crush on this boy because he would DJ at parties, and she was
Yeah.
like, "Say no more."
Yeah.
DJ at the party. That's all you need. But yeah, but
That's so
yeah, he was
true.
very sensible
Yeah.
and committed, and not just to her phone number, to his career, and yeah,
Mm.
having the extra jobs and not wanting to get the same as Kerry, really, not wanting to let them down when he had other
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how old he was meant to be. I must have missed. Was
I
he
thought he was a couple of years
a bit
older
older? So he was at
than
college.
Kerry, I think. Yeah, I think so.
I think he was doing a lot of, realistically, he wouldn't have been doing all of that without parents or a
Mm.
lawyer or with somebody present. He wouldn't have been going off and doing all of that on his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he had very good
Yeah.
principles because, like, as you
yeah,
said with the work ethic, but even when it came to the music industry, he had
Mm.
like principles and integrity about it. And again,
Mm.
I think, Keris, what you said there, I think we've realised that both Kerry and Jake are exactly the same character
Yeah.
because they're both quieter, underconfident, perhaps,
Mm.
but they've both got a career interest that they're working
mm,
towards and a good work
Yeah.
ethic. And I
Yeah.
think they were basically the same character.
Yeah. No,
Just
yeah,
one
I
was
think they
music and
were.
one was writing.
Yeah.
yeah.
The only thing I found a bit, this might be me, so convince me round, right? The only thing I found a little bit not strange, but a bit icky about Jake was when he was talking about the music and like writing the music. He was like, "Oh, I need Kerry here with me,
Mm,
like so that I like basically his muse, which I
mm.
get." But I felt like he relied on that too much to make himself feel better. Does that make sense? But I don't know whether that was a me thing.
No, I understand what you're saying. I think I read it that like he was nervous, and
Mm,
because
Mm,
he'd written one song that they really liked, he was like, "Okay, I need Kerry around again because she's given me some
yeah,
confidence in
yeah,
myself."
mm.
And
yeah.
if
And it's a big thing
I
to
do
do on
this
your
with,
own.
yeah,
Mm.
A big thing to
It's,
do on your own as well. To have
it's
somebody with you would be make things.
yeah, and it's like I thought, what happens if Kerry turned around and said, "No, I didn't like that, Jake."
Mm,
Like, what would happen? Because we never saw that
yeah.
happen. It was always very positive.
She was
Would
never
you be like,
hugely positive though.
no,
It was like,
realistic?
"Oh no, that
Yeah,
was good," and
yeah,
I kept thinking, "Oh, okay." I mean, that you're not throwing yourself at him like giving him fake praise, but
mm,
I would have thought by now it'd be more like, "Yeah, it's good.
yeah,
This is his
he said
dream. You
something.
know,
It
this is his dream," and you're like, "That's all right."
was quite good, and then he was like, "Oh, so you don't like it then?"
yeah.
God's sake, you two.
But that is the
It was
British
almost like put
thing,
some
though, isn't it?
enthusiasm.
That
Yeah,
that is
yeah, just
British as well. You
yeah,
Mm.
know, saying it's good when you probably do mean more, but you don't go over the top or overboard with your
Yeah,
yeah.
comments.
yeah, no, definitely. So obviously the music aspect, as we touched on, was covered in the book. So did you like the way that that was portrayed, like the musical journey, Keris?
It was very, very quick. It
Mm,
was, yeah. I mean, I didn't even think until you messaged me earlier, and it was like the music industry in the 90s. Was it an
yeah,
accurate representation? I was working in the music industry in the 90s. Hadn't even occurred to me.
yeah,
So, I mean, I think it was fairly realistic apart from the speed of it. And I don't think that you'd send a demo and then immediately go and record a demo and sign for a single. I just don't. But I mean, you have to suspend disbelief a little anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all very, very quick. And also, like I said, he wouldn't have been doing any of that by himself. He wouldn't have been signing the contract at home on his own. He would have had to have, legal representation, and
Yeah.
it would have been much more protected. But yeah, it reminded me Tony's big speech about gatekeepers and the success, and also when Kerry said to him about it's out of your control, you can only do what you. That was absolutely right, and also just 100% reminded me of publishing. It just sounded exactly like publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty realistic.
Yeah. I love that whole speech that he gave, where he gave Jake like what he classed as the facts of the music industry, and I
Manage
felt
your
like he was
expectations.
being quite honest there as well
Yeah,
for a manager.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He did give him quite a realistic portrayal of it, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about all the musical journey, Kelly, that
I
Jake went on?
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Where I work, I've got a colleague who teaches music business, and sometimes I teach music business students. And I think, yeah, it was, cutting out lots of, the length of time it would take and all that kind of thing. I think it was quite accurate. I've also been watching all the boy band documentaries, so the one that was
Me
released
too.
recently, and Boyzone No Matter What and what have
Oh,
you. And I was
that was
like,
made me cry. So
um,
sad.
so reading this at the time of watching those as well, I was like, this is actually pretty good. For any point horror, point romance and stuff I've read, usually there isn't a huge theme that it hooks into, and the fact that this was about music, but it wasn't just superficial. There was a little bit about the demos, the recording studio, how contracts work, and getting how to pitch your music. Again, this is why I think it's so much like my area, because of working in PR. That's what I went on to do after college. It's like, yeah, I understand this. It's speaking my language about how to promote it. It's about the tastemakers and getting it played and all that. And I was like, enjoyed it from that perspective. It's probably the bit I enjoyed the most about the book, really. Thinking about it, because, as I say, I've just come to that realization that our two characters are basically the same person, which is why they just couldn't get it sorted.
Yeah, it took them a while.
Thinking they only kissed once in this book?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that it? Is that all
That's
we got?
That was like at the end as well.
Yeah, right at the end.
78 pages for one kiss.
We were committed to the cause.
It was a pretty quick kiss as well. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't know, though, because she mentions like he tried to poke his tongue in or something.
Yeah, it's a bit of tongue.
He parted my lips with his tongue or
with
something.
his tongue. He was like,
that 3 times trying to picture it.
Yeah, it just sounds like a
go.
bit of a strange
His tongue
kiss.
strayed around her lips and then gently parted them.
It's like a snake.
Maybe it got cut there at the end of the book because it turned into smut. And
Oh dear. Yeah, that kiss gives me a shiver.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the musical aspects. Like you, Kelly, I've been watching the boy band documentaries, the Boyzone one that's been on, and the other one with all the 90s boy bands.
Yeah, it's depressing.
Yeah, it's really you kind of it's weird because you kind of think, not that you know that it's going on, but we're more aware now, aren't we, of those kind of things. So sometimes when you see certain bands, I don't know, when on X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or whatever, and you think, oh dear, are they going to be looked after? I don't know, it's probably just me. I'm like, oh bless them. So yeah, I thought that was quite realistic. I quite enjoyed that aspect of the book, and it does what it says on the tin. It says it's about a musical guy who's writing music, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think if I'd read it when I was a teenager, I would have absolutely loved it. I think I would have been Yeah, really. It would have been right up my street as a
Yeah,
teenager.
definitely the same. So, what are some of your like favourite male vocal love songs, Keris?
Um, I mean, I should have thought of a Harry Styles one, shouldn't I? A Harry Styles one that I just can't think of which one right
Adore
now.
You, Adore You,
Adore
you
is a
do.
good one, of course
Yeah.
it is. And George Michael, I just love George Michael songs.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
every now and then
definitely.
we'll put George Michael on and have a little cry.
Oh, oh, it's
um,
quite emotional listening to George Michael, to be
yeah,
honest. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. How about you, Kelly?
I guess most of my musical taste is probably male singers, like male dominated. I mean, obviously Backstreet Boys. I mean,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, because again, from the 90s and noughties reference of around the book era, and, you know, they're still going strong today. I'm still a fan of theirs today.
Mm,
And, you know, if I think about
mm,
like romantic songs, it's like you can't help but think of some of theirs. You only have to
that's
say the word
it's true.
"you are," and
Yeah.
then immediately everyone's like, "That's
My
fine." You just
fire.
can't help it. You know. Um, uh, um, so they were definitely the ones back in the day. But
Mm.
there's other people you wouldn't have heard of him. But there's a band that me and my husband both really really love called Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh,
They're a
yeah.
Canadian
Heard of them?
band. They sang One Week and they did
Yeah.
the Big
Yeah.
Bang Theory song. They're the ones that everyone knows.
Yeah.
They're still going and we go and see them on tour all the time. But there was an original singer in the band. There's two lead singers who set it up, and Stephen Page left the band years ago, and he's a solo artist now. And his voice is just incredible. Like if I listen to the acoustic albums of their gigs and things that they recorded, his voice
Mm.
it's just incredible. And he there's a song called Good Boy, and there's a song called Break Your Heart. So Stephen Page, the
Oh.
V, Stephen Page, Break Your Heart. And if you can listen to like the live version of it, his
Mm.
voice and the rawness, and I've seen him sing it live, and it was just like he's the best. He's not somebody that you're going to swoon over, so it's not
Yeah.
like a Jake.
Yeah.
You know, it's not somebody you're going to be looking at a stage and going, oh, but his voice is just
Oh,
incredible.
I'm gonna check that out. Definitely.
Just thought of a
Oh.
Harry Styles one actually that you might not know that he did. You know when they do covers on Spotify, he did a
Mm.
cover of a song called "Girl Crush." The original is by Little Big Town,
Oh.
and that's really romantic, lovely song. I love that song.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I'll have a look at that. I always like lately, I love on repeat I have Tom O'Dell, Another Love, which I know is not like a love song. It's like a bit tragic.
Mm.
But I just love the piano and the way they arranged that song, and I love that it's had like a resurgence as well in the past couple of years, because it's came out quite a few years ago, that song, but I love it.
Oh,
But like back in the day, I was very much into, I was a Take That fan, and then all
yeah,
of a
me
sudden
too.
overnight, I kind of changed into like rock music
Yeah,
pretty quickly. So I used to be obsessed with Dave Grohl,
Mm.
obviously in Nirvana and then in Foo Fighters.
obviously.
Um, yeah, and I used to be obsessed with the song "Big Me." Like that was my thing. I used to play on the guitar all the time and things. So yeah, I mean, love him. Um, and I used to really be obsessed with, and I was like, do I say it? Don't, because I'm not so much a fan nowadays. But John Mayer used to have a song called "Body." Your body is a
Oh
wonderland.
yeah, that's the only
Yes.
one of
But
his I
but
know.
I was just obsessed with the one lyric where it says, "I'll never let your head hit the bed without my hand behind it," and I was like, "That's so romantic." I was obsessed. I was like, oh, as long as a man does that for me, he's the one. Obsessed.
I love the way you put the pause as well. It's like I'd never let your head hit the bed, and you go, "Is that romantic?" Okay, I see where you're coming from.
Tension. To add suspense.
Yes, exactly.
For me, it could have been never let your head hit the bed, you know. But, Matthew said, I prefer female vocalists mainly, but I love the songs by The Cure. Always a little strange, but also always sweet. Yeah, that's true. And Sharon says, I love The Cure, Sisters of Mercy, or I know I can't say that. Barhouse.
Yeah.
For
Oh
me,
wow.
but Ghost by
That's
Japan still makes me cry. Yeah. Oh, Love Sisters, and everyone tries to make me say really hard words. It's probably not that difficult. Love Sisters and Bar House. Sushi and the Banshees are my favourite. I have a huge Sushi and the Banshee sushi collection. Oh, wow. I love that. That's so cool. Oh, dear. So, overall then, because obviously we've gone a little bit over the hour, but what would you rate this book out of 5 if you had to rate it? Kelly?
I mean, 3 just feels like a middle of the road, doesn't it? It's like you're just sitting on
Yeah.
the fence. I'm gonna say 4
Oh,
because I wish they had a little bit more welly about them. You know,
yeah.
that was welly.
Yeah,
I said
yeah,
welly.
Kelly.
I wish there was a little bit more to them, and now I've realised that they're both the same character. It kind of, yeah, I'm thinking a little bit less of it now. But I have
Yeah.
to, because of the Alton references, and I did like the whole work ethic and the music story. I did really quite rate it, and I think that when you think about the relationships and the portrayal of relationships, and you know the girlfriend, one of them trying to really support her friend and get
Yeah.
her to see things, I think it was quite a supportive and helpful book in many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, I agree with that. How about you, Keris?
I am going to be on the fence. It's a 3. 3 from me.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. I didn't know what to expect because it does look so, I hate to say
Yeah.
old-fashioned about the 90s, but it does look so old-fashioned.
It's like historical fiction now,
Oh,
Kerry, because I keep getting told.
do not even. I can't cope with it.
I can't.
It's
No,
ridiculous.
I
But
can't deal with it.
yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. But yeah, I do
Oh.
wish the 2 of them had a bit more personality.
Yeah.
But that aside, I did enjoy it.
Yeah. I did give it a 3 as well, so I was with Kerry's. Just because, yeah, I just wanted a little bit, not a little bit more, but to be honest, like now we've had a chat about it, I think I appreciate it a little bit more. I enjoyed it, but now I think I appreciate that, there were topics that were covered in there that would have been useful to read as a teen
Yeah.
about relationships. And that's why I like talking about books with people, because I think,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it gives me a different perspective. It makes me think a little bit more than like just surface level. So yeah, maybe like 3.5. Maybe I'll go up to. Definitely. Oh my guys, thank you. Thanks so
Thank
much. And
you.
thanks for reading it really last minute as well, Keris, because when I was like trying to think of someone else to like join us, and I was like, who? And then all of a sudden I saw Keris's TikTok about Harry Styles, and I was like,
She's
it's got
perfect.
it's got to be Keris.
Literally, it's so funny because I only literally started making TikToks for the first time last week, and I was
That's so
like, I make
strange.
one TikTok, and Shelly slides into my DMs.
I'm always there.
Always
But yeah,
watching and waiting. Oh,
honestly,
it's
I
amazing.
felt like I had an epiphany. I was like sitting downstairs, and I was like just scroll, and I was thinking, right, could do with finding someone else like to join us. And then all of a sudden I went, Keris, and Kev's like, are you okay? Honestly, but no, and you read it really last minute as well, so thank you, and thank you,
Thank
Kelly, as
you.
well.
Oh well.
It's like this is going to be our annual thing, I think.
I'm just here because I love point horror and point romance as much as you do,
Oh,
Shelly. But Kat Keris was a fantastic guest to have on. There
yeah.
couldn't be any more perfect for this, particularly considering the book that's coming out.
Yeah, so I'm so
just
excited.
pretending like if I'm around enough authors that one day I'll write a book and I'll be an author too, because that's always been my dream. So like if I'm
you
around
can do
authors enough,
it.
maybe it'll happen one day.
No, yeah, you can do it. Just sit down and I don't know why I'm giving the advice, but just sit down and write, because
Sit
I
down
need
and
that
write
advice
it.
myself.
That is the advice. Sit down and write it. That is what you want to
Yeah.
do. Unfortunately,
I
I
have
used 2 years ago. I
written.
used to email authors asking for advice, and I was always expecting to get like a little bit of secret magic
Yeah,
something. There
Yeah.
isn't any secret magic anything. It's
just
literally just sit down and
write.
write it. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have contributed to an academic textbook that comes out this year.
Ooh,
Oh, it's
congratulations.
So
the first
that's
step.
exciting. But
Yeah,
one
that's the
day I
first
will
step.
write. I'll write a new point horror for new generation or
Yes.
something.
Mm.
Oh, well, I always say, oh, yeah, I need to carry on writing, because I think Keris might be only one of a couple of people who's actually read some of my writing in the past.
Yeah, and you
And
do need
yeah,
to carry on writing.
yeah, I know. And I do need to do it. And I always say it. So maybe, Kelly, we need to encourage each other and get it done.
Well, maybe there's a collab going on here that we're going to bring back point horror.
Oh, yeah. Can
I'll
you
give you a
imagine?
title, you give me a title, and then we'll see what we come up with.
That's such a good idea. Yeah, we need to do that, definitely. Oh, and thanks everyone in the comments. Yeah, and Melina said writing is one of her goals this year as well. But thanks for everyone in the comments as well. And I'm glad you had fun on this. Well, it's not snowy here, Matthew, but it's snowy where you are.
Mm. Yeah, hope you get power
But
back
yeah,
soon.
yeah, hope you get power. All right then, guys. Thanks ever so much, and have a happy Valentine's
Thank
Day
you, you too.
tomorrow.
Thank
Yay!
you.
See you later. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.